Well, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelenskyy is in the United States to present what he calls a victory plan to President Joe Biden, as well as presidential hopefuls Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. Zelenskyy has already begun trying to boost bipartisan support in the US for his country's efforts against Russia's invasion. The meetings come on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly, where Zelenskyy is meeting other world leaders, hoping to gain more concrete support for the plan. Meanwhile, the situation on Ukraine's eastern front line remains tense, with Ukraine defending its own territory as well as its gains in the Russian region of Kursk. Last night, Russian airstrikes hit the southeastern city of Zaporizhia, killing one and leaving others injured.
Fighting continues to rage in eastern Ukraine, Russia making slow gains at tremendous human cost, but over time expanding the territory it controls. Russian forces have been pushing toward the key strategic city of Pokrovsk for months. Taking Pokrovsk and a few other nearby towns could open up the Eastern Front, with potentially disastrous consequences for Ukraine. For its part, Ukraine's strategy continues to involve hitting inside Russian territory with drones, most recently blowing up an ammunition storage site that reportedly contained North Korean-made munitions. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy says his detailed victory plan could help turn the tide. He says it gives Ukraine the, quote, strongest possible position to bring peace closer. Before he left for the US, he sent this message.
The next week could be crucial in many ways in stopping Russian terror, this aggression, and to restore normal security. For this to happen, the determination of our partners must be matched by the courage of Ukrainians. The answer to the question, when will this war end, is really when the determination of our partners keeps pace with what we can do to protect ourselves, to defend our independence, to win. Ukraine must win this war. It can win, but together with the whole world.
There's not much we know yet, but Zelenskyy has said his victory plan contains a military component, including Ukraine's incursion into Russia and using long-range weapons on Russian territory, a political component that would determine Ukraine's place in the world security order, and diplomatic and economic components as well. The military aspect is what we know the most about, as Ukraine seeks to strengthen itself to win on the battlefield. The Ukrainian incursion into Russia's Kursk region, which started on August 6th, is part of the plan, even if it has so far failed to divert huge numbers of Russian troops from the front lines. It gives Ukraine a bargaining chip. Ukraine has also captured hundreds of Russian prisoners in Kursk. The victory plan also includes Kyiv's request to use long-range weapons like ATACMS missiles to hit targets deep inside Russia. Zelenskyy has publicly called on President Biden multiple times to get that permission, saying it could change the course of the war. But until now, Biden has said no. U.S. media reports that officials have seen elements of the victory plan and are confident that it can work. But Joe Biden will be the first person to see the entire plan. Zelenskyy said that if the U.S. doesn't sign off, war may continue for years.
There is no alternative to peace, no freezing of a war or any other manipulations. That would simply shift Russian aggression to another stage. We need reliable and lasting security for Ukraine, and by extension, for all of Europe. That's what we're working towards.
Ultimately, Ukraine says the victory plan is a bridge to understanding what the country's future will be after the war.
All right, we can talk now to our correspondent in Kyiv, Matthias Bullinger. Matthias, good to see you. We just heard about Zelenskyy's victory plan here. I wonder, are Ukrainians there excited about this trip, that Zelenskyy's victory plan might actually change something for them?
Well, here in Ukraine, as we've just seen in this piece, nobody really knows what this victory plan entails. So there is, of course, it's very hard for people to be excited about something that they do not know. There are, however, clear expectations or hopes that Zelensky will get something in Washington, the most important thing being the use of the long-range missiles on Russian territory, which would considerably, people hope, disable Russian operations, and which would also prevent Russians from using these glide bombs that have been one of the worst developments for Ukraine in the past year. That would disable these operations considerably. So some of the steps that are most likely to be in this victory plan or some of these ideas are shared by the public. These demands are common demands, one might say, that is widely shared here. What about the part of the future, what this will entail, what security guarantees Ukraine will have, how a post-war order, we understand that this will also be part of this plan, how this will look like is maybe something that is still far ahead and where people do not have expectations that are as specific as with the military part.
Zelensky has said that this autumn will determine the future of this war. He's talking about the US elections, of course. How much do Ukrainians think that the US election will affect their lives after November, whether it's Harris or whether it's Trump living in the White House?
There has been, especially recently, lots of criticism of Biden's decisions, especially this decision of holding back some types of weapons, not enabling Ukraine to fully strike back against Russia and to get everything really they need in order to move forward and defeat Russia. So it's not that Biden is the ideal American leader for Ukrainians from a Ukrainian perspective, but most people here recognize that he has been standing with Ukraine from the beginning and that the Biden administration has supported Ukraine, and it would be completely unclear what a Trump administration would do. So people here are very aware that this election might change their fate in a big way, and they've also noticed what J.D. Vance has said, etc. So, of course, there is a lot of uncertainty around this election, and that might also be the reason why Zelensky has put forward this plan now, a plan that is also aimed at changing discourse globally, and why he's traveling now in order to get some of the things that Ukraine needs most urgently right now, before the election happens, before the big uncertainty might come in.
Matthias Billinger in Kyiv, thanks so much for your insights.
Thank you very much.
Well, meantime, the war in Ukraine has upended almost everything, including romantic relationships and families. Government data shows birth rates at a 10-year low and marriage rates almost as low as well. In a time of war, it seems love is not what it used to be. DW's Sonia Falnica reports from Kyiv.
Looking for love. Fast. This is speed dating in central Kyiv. Thais is a dating coach for men. She says the war has led to many couples breaking up and made the dating scene unpredictable.
I hear from men that it's not easy for them to find a girlfriend because many women have moved away. At the same time, there's an increased need for relationships, for closeness, support and trust.
Organizers of the event say it's particularly popular with the military. Alina says since the war, she's used to men who are afraid of commitment. Many are also scared of draft officers making them join the army.
I know from friends that some men are simply afraid to leave the house. They even order food at home. You can't go anywhere with them.
Alina is a single mother. She says she's open to dating a soldier, even one who's been injured. But she does have one deal breaker.
A physical handicap is not a problem, but it's a big no if he has some mental health issues. For me, that is priority, especially since I'm not alone and there could be aggression. It seems to me that many women are starting to worry about this.
Serhiy was badly injured last year while serving in the south.
I know a lot of people who struggle, guys with amputations who were broken by it, because they believe that life will no longer be the same.
He says he's confident he can find a partner.
When I meet women in person, they see that I walk, that it's not difficult for me to move. It's not an obstacle. I basically love life, and I'm a very active person. I want to share my energy, to share my love. I realize I now have time for it.
Back at the speed dating cafe, who knows if a pair might find love here today? Thais, the dating coach, says just coming here can be helpful.
There are many soldiers. It's difficult for them to socialize. And when they come to such an event, they realize it's possible. It's a kind of consolation, even if they don't meet anyone. Perhaps it can be an outlet for them.
An outlet for everyone looking for a chance to look towards the future despite an uncertain present.